Hello, that's me INKIE, and this is my new tutorial video. If you tried constantly saving money for new gear with just one feature which you need, you're scrolling Tom on 10 hours per day, if you're not happy with MIDI clock on Helix and you always need to synchronize it manually, I will tell you that we have solution. So this tutorial will be about how to connect your RC505 MK2 to an iPad and use Loopy Pro, and you will be able to combine two different worlds. World of software and world of hardware. I can definitely tell you that now you can replace any kind of second device, any kind of gear which, you know, looping beatboxers are using now with just iPad. You can have setup where iPad is a MIDI controller for your loop station, where it's effect processor for your loop station, or it's even looping from your loop station to another loops where you can re-loop these loops. And only one thing you need is just a cable from your printer. Well, to be honest, not only this cable, also you need to have a USB hub and iPad. But that's it. That's only three things you need to have. Of course, there is a pros and cons when you're using this kind of setup. So into advantages, I will place such features as full MIDI crosstalk between MK2 and Loopy Pro, recording to Loopy and use plugins as your track effects, live sampling your drums and vocals so you can create scenes and realistic drums. And into disadvantages, I will place such things as audio doubling if you're using monitoring through the Loopy, and limitations with USB outputs. That's the main reason why we have doubling there. But I will explain this in a close-up video when we will, you know, setting the things up. So regarding iPads, best option is to pick up like something with M1 because it's future-proof. You will be able to load a lot of stuff on it. You can go like with the cheapest one, iPad Air, for 64 gigabytes, and it will be cheaper, I think, than any second device. Of course, iPad Air is having a small screen, but you can go with iPad Pro 2018, which also have a decent CPU and bigger screen. I think you need to choose here. You want a bigger screen or you want a more performance. So personally, I will pick more performance, so probably iPad Air with M1 is better solution. And because you can create a lot of pages inside Loopy Pro, so I think you can work around with the small screen. And of course you will need a USB hub. Don't save money on a USB hub, because if you buy cheap, really cheap one, it could introduce some troubles with your audio signal. So you're connecting everything as you usually do to MK2, your headphones, your output, your microphone, turning on phantom power, and just let's go to set up this stuff. So let's do a quick setup between MK2 and Loopy Pro. First things we need to understand that there is, as I told already, some downsides here. So I will do a short demonstration of these downsides, how this sounds. So we can use input effects inside MK2, and at the same time we can use effects on Loopy Pro, because we already have, as you can see, my gain coming inside Loopy Pro. And if we will turn on monitoring like that, you can hear slight doubling of the signal. And if you enable the effect, for example, filter here, pow, 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 you can still hear the wet signal while I'm speaking. But if I will start the metronome and initiate recording, pow, 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 you can hear that it's recording only wet signal without dry, but in live audio you can hear a mix of both of them. You can just disable doubling here by disabling the monitoring, and by this you are not able to hear the live effects applied to your voice, but you're still able to record them. Po, 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 po. You see, it's recording affected voice. So you should keep in mind how this works. To keep it more simple, we can just disable all effects and not use effects inside Loopy. And the thing it will be like, we're using input effects inside MK2. We're not using track effects because we're recording to Loopy. And inside Loopy, we're using plugins to have kind of track effects abilities. So right now we need to synchronize the tempo between MK2 and Loopy, because as I already showed, if I start the metronome on the loop station, it's starting the metronome on Loopy Pro. And I turned on metronome here because I'm monitoring from my main output, and you know, the metronome inside MK2 is still available on phone's output. So it's just for demonstration. So as you can see, I can disable here metronome, and in the main out, now there is no metronome, but in the phones you can hear the metronome. So now we're going to settings of Loopy and going to synchronization and MIDI clock sources. As you can see, 505 MK2, MIDI clock destinations 505 MK2, but you don't need this actually because our MK2 is a master tempo. So that's basically it. Your tempo is synchronized. To set up your MIDI channels, you go into settings, MIDI, and I have control. That means all control messages is received by channel 1. Rhythm means that messages to trigger samples inside MK2 received in channel 2. And voice means for vocoder, oscillate vocoder M, we're receiving notes on channel number 3. Now we need to set up our audio routing inside MK2. It's pretty simple. You just need to remember that we have only main output here, and that the thing is because in the generic mode of USB audio, MK2 is available to provide only one output. So this is the main. So you need to keep in mind that main is your main USB output and as well main output to somewhere else. We can use only one channel in generic mode, because if we will switch to vendor, it will not work with Loopy Pro. Then I'm not recording any audio to loop station, so I'm going to settings of what each track receiving, and everything is turned off. So my buttons here is acting as just a trigger to record something on Loopy Pro. And this kind of basic setup for mixing, for routing, sorry, inside MK2. Nothing really special. So you basically can just unplug your Loopy Pro and just tweak the settings of each track, and you can use standalone. It's really fast. Now the MIDI settings for MK2 and Loopy Pro. As I showed before, we use these buttons only to record the stuff inside Loopy Pro, and to do so we're using our assignments, and I will demonstrate only on one track because it's a lot of time to rotate the knob. For example, this track is corresponding to this track, to red one, number 1, and so on. 5 tracks there, 5 tracks there. So we're going to assignments, turn this on, and we're selecting racked up. This is mean this button, sending the message MIDI CC number 127, and that's basically it. We're going now to MIDI learn. I will just delete everything I have here, so I will create a new mappings. Yeah, when you enter in MIDI learn, if it's not highlighted white, that means there is no mapping applied to this. So we just hit this, and it's saying listening for MIDI. We can start the metronome. Okay, and now it says hold, but we need to switch this to on off, and that's it. Our mapping for this button to this track is done. We turn metronome, pow, P, po, po. The message is sent from our triggers is synced in time, and by this there starts to be synced in time inside Loopy Pro. Now to overdub your track, so we'll record something. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. We're going through our assignments again. And of course I binned it already, 5 of them to 5 tracks. Then we're going to number 6. And track effects play. So in play mode, this button will initiate overdubbing here. And I selected this MIDI CC 122, right? So we're going to MIDI learn again. Tap on our track, go back to actions, select record. It says listening to MIDI. We're pressing this and it's done. Now if I will start metronome and tempo. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. And as you can see, we can overdub here. The last thing is deleting the tracks. Because of limitations inside INKIE 2, it's not possible to map this double tap delete to something else. So I decided to use messages from Loopy Pro to send back to INKIE 2. So as you can see, I can delete by swiping the track inside Loopy Pro. Of course, it's not necessary to use. You can leave some space in your assignments because we already will bind all 15 assignments, because it's 5 for recording, 5 for overdub, and 5 for deleting. And we leave in only one assignment, 16th. You can choose what you want to do, but just to be more consistent, I decided to map delete function inside Loopy and send this message to delete the corresponding tracks inside INKIE 2. So we're going to assignment number 11. And now, as a source, we're saying CC number 1 is clearing the track number 1. Now we are going to edit mode on Loopy Pro, selecting our follow actions and our clear action, sending the MIDI message to channel number 1, MIDI message CC number 1, and that's basically initiate the clear track number 1. And the same for each of them. So if we'll go back, the 12 is CC number 2, and if we'll go back to second track, follow action CC number 2. So now if I will go start tempo, right, and now I can do this and it's gone, right? Or I have a dedicated button to delete everything, and I just press one button and it's all gone. So now because we have communication with MIDI between INKIE 2 and Loopy Pro, we can create, for example, I will switch to the next memory bank. And in this memory bank, I have assignments. For example, number 1 is CC1, changing input effects Control A. So we have here, low pass filter. Right. And now we have ability to create here, a knob. And we select value change, scroll down, send MIDI message, selecting CC, channel number 1, CC number 1, and target, we select our loop station. And now if we'll go to settings, you can see I'm controlling the parameters inside INKIE 2. And you can create buttons and just trigger something. So you basically can create a layout for all your controls. And you, for example, can have MIDI CC number 2 here. It's saying 1. No, we need to change number 2. Number MK2, right? And this one in my assignments is controlling the B effect, right? So if I go to B is guitar to bass, it works. But now if I want to control these two parameters, I don't need to spend time to create a new assignments inside MK2. I will just select here the third knob and trigger widget, target, this one, another one, trigger widget, target, the red one. And now I'm controlling two parameters at once. Easy, and you can create the really complicated chains here. Another thing, if we want to manipulate different parameters here with interesting MIDI plugins. So for instance, I will show this on LFO plugin, and Polybeat is kind of sequencer plugin. So I'm adding MIDI here. And selecting as destinations 505, opening the plugin, selecting MIDI CC number 1, selecting the waveform, and now when I start the tempo, the LFO affects CC number 1 and it's assigned to the effect A filter. I can change the the patterns. And you can control anything. For instance, we can switch to CC number 3, and inside MK2 CC number 3 we will select that it will change the bank input effects, bank increase input effects. Now I will just set to default. Now you can control your parameters with LFO or any other sequencer plugin. For example, if I will delete this one and add step sequencer, because maybe I want not to use LFO but something like stepped, and I'm going to add a polybeat, same at destination MK2, go in here a bit wider, selecting our, for example, kick will be CC number 3 as well, like a previous one. Then we create in steps and maxing then out, so it's sending value 127. And when I start, and the last thing about oscillator vocoder M, so I will go back to bank A, and I have a sequencer here. It's empty, but I can load my preset here. And now I'm selecting that all my notes going to channel number 3. And because it's sending MIDI messages to 505, I can just start the metronome. I can minimize this, we don't need this. I just played the sequence from this sequencer, and if you just press, it works as a keyboard. Now, if you want to sample your sounds, you're just creating a send bus. So you're creating this add bus, and you're placing, for example, like I did here, Koala sampler. You opening it. We can delete this one. We don't need that. We have already here samples. We can delete them as well. And I'm sending my audio from this microphone to Koala. As you can see now, I have a volume going on here. And we're going to bank B. I don't know, here I have something for... Now we have our kick. Two types of snares. We can mix them. Now hi-hats. Pitch up them. Play start the metronome, and we can record our sequence. And as you can hear, I did some mistakes here, and it's automatically quantizing it, so no problem at all. Now, if you want to sample your tunes like synthesizer, you can go with same method. You add in a bus here, another one, and send in audio to this bus. I have a special button here. Yeah, it's doubling, but it's fine. For example, something with reverb from INKIE one. Maybe whistle. Or maybe, I don't know, ring. It's just fast examples, so you can see what it, you can do. Or you can use, for example, not this sampler, but granular synthesizer. Enable this. Send audio to sampling. Open the interface, expand. Yeah, I have something already here, like my preset called French 69. So I will just use, I don't know, maybe oscillator board. Okay, we record it, and because we have 4 layers here, we can copy across all 4 layers. Let's see what happens. Amazing. And it's just one cable, like easy as it is. So as you can see now, you can set up your iPad and mimic any type of device. For example, Pyramid Squarp, Boombox with MIDI manipulations. You don't need even open these interfaces of like these complicated devices. You just do everything inside Loopy Pro, inside plugin where you have all visually represented, and it's easy. Live sampling your drums, your vocals, creating crazy synths, using plugins to affect these synths to create more crazier synths. And main thing, if you've done a lot of stuff on your MK2 and you depend on it because the sounds is really essential, you can have them, still have them, but as well you can merge them into new definition of, audio possibilities. So I hope this will help people to, put your fingertips into this new area. So I will upload my Loopy Pro template for 505 MK2 to my Patreon. If you're interested, you can join or you can create your own just by watching this video. But if you subscribe, I will really appreciate this. This will, help me a lot. And yeah, I wish you good luck. Have a nice sounds.